This is Glow in the Dark Radio. The science fiction podcast with original independent science fiction written and performed by Mike Luoma, with music by Kevin MacLeod. The Vatican Assassin Trilogy and The Adventures of Alibi Jones by Mike Luoma are available in ebook, trade paperback, and audiobook wherever you find your books online. Get links and details at glowinthedarkradio.com. This is the Science Fiction Podcast, Glow in the Dark Radio. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. And we are going to get into Chapter 7 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur, part of the Alibi Jones Chronological Omnibus that we're running through on the podcast. Alibi Jones is on the hunt for the missing Dakhur artifact known as the Sunrise of Hur, and he has a lead. Krish put Alibi in touch with, possibly, the wealthiest and most powerful human being in the Solar Alliance, Richard Wentworth, figuring Wentworth, with all of his connections, might be able to help Alibi find the artifact. Wentworth connected Alibi with Finder, a dangerous old hippie with a knack for, well, finding things. Or finding people who can find things for him. It turns out Alibi Jones is one of those people. Thanks to an unknown arrangement between Wentworth and Finder, all Alibi has to do is find something for Finder, and Finder will find Alibi, the Sunrise of Hur. So Alibi needs to find the mad planet Metcalf, said to be guarded by something known as the Laughing Array. He needs to find the planet because that's where the travel chair of Inokata is said to be. Find the planet Metcalf, get by this Laughing Array, and get the travel chair. Easy peasy, right? Bring it back to Finder, who Alibi will get in touch with through Wentworth, and Alibi will get the Sunrise of Hur. Well, maybe not so easy. Metcalf is not easy to find. Now, Alibi knows who might know about Metcalf. He's just not sure he can ask his Aunt Anita about the planet without having her tell him not to go there. Though not by his choice, Alibi will end up checking in with his aunt all the same. And we'll listen in on their conversation in Chapter 7 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur, coming up on Glow in the Dark Radio. In book news, running a little bit late with the podcast. We got 5 inches of snow in Burlington overnight, so I had to get out there and do some shoveling today before I could get in to do all my fun stuff, like the podcast and everything else. So I'm apologizing for the lateness of the podcast, but it's not my fault. I don't like March snow. I'm done. I'm done with winter. It can stop. Can't go see stonework in the woods when there's snow all over it. Well, you can, but it doesn't really benefit you much because you can't really see it. So, yeah, I got out yesterday before the snow flew. But, yeah, not happy today. But I'm here. I got that done. Took some ibuprofen because my girlfriend reminded me I should. And now, yeah, we're getting into Chapter 7 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur. You know, if you want free ebooks, I should mention in book news, the 15th anniversary edition of Vatican Assassin is free in many places, and so is the first Alibi Jones novel. You can get both of those full-length novels for free as ebooks in many places, although Amazon does not play nice if you're not exclusive to them, so they are not free at Amazon, but free everywhere else, pretty much. And if you want to find out where the books are, you can go to Books to Read, that's with the number 2, books2read.com/Alibi Jones, or books2read.com/Vatican Assassin. And that is where I have universal book links. You can find those ebooks at a whole ton of stores at those links. And if there's somebody you want to turn on to my science fiction, it's a great way to do it. Just let them know they can go to these links and get a free ebook. I want to say thank you to patrons for supporting the podcast. I've got a handful of patrons, and they keep the lights on, as it were, keep the podcast going. And if you'd like to become a patron and help do that, I would love to have you. Just head to patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio and do it for $2, $5, $10 a month and get extra stuff and early episodes and help support the podcast if you can. If not, just enjoy. And once again, thank you to those of you who are patrons of Glow in the Dark Radio. We're going to get into Chapter 7 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur next on Glow in the Dark Radio.
Under 30,000 feet of water, the exploration rig Leaguer has discovered an oil field larger than Saudi Arabia. With oil so sweet and pure, nations would go to war for the rights to it. But as the team starts drilling exploration wells in their race to claim the sweet crude, a deep rumbling beneath the ocean floor shakes them to their core. Something has been living in the oil. Paul E. Cooley's The Black is a techno-horror thriller reminiscent of movies such as Leviathan and The Thing, and puts terror right into readers' ears. The Black, a free podcast novel available from shadowpublications.com and iTunes. Ocean exploration will never be the same.
Now here's Chapter 7 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur on Glow in the Dark Radio. Once back on the ground at home in his apartment on Cat's Eye, Alibi looks up the travel chair of Inokata on the Solar Alliance knowledge net. There's very little there. Finder gave him more to go on. Alibi tries looking up Metcalf and Laughing Array. There are more results for the Metcalfs. Biographies of the exploring family, cautionary tales of their disappearances, and a few stories of madmen reappearing years later. Alibi tries to read the accounts, but the words blur. He realizes that between Wentworth Station and the trip down to Earth, he hasn't slept in about 36 hours. Can't afford to sleep. Only have a week, and over half of it is gone. Alibi can't resist sleep as exhaustion overtakes him. He does manage to postpone dropping off long enough to get himself into bed before he finally conks out. His apartment's comm alert goes off and wakes him up after 12 solid hours of sleep. Shit, forgot to set the alarm. Only have 3 more days. What's that? Oh, the comm. Who is it? Aunt Anita, Alibi answers the comm. Alibi, how are you? His aunt sounds like she's in a pleasant mood. I'm good, he answers, trying to wake up after the long sleep. How's the search for the Sunrise of Hur going? She asks. Pretty well. I've found someone who says he can help me find it, Alibi says. Met a guy who's good at finding things. Really? And what does this guy want in return for doing that? She asks, instantly suspicious. I've got to find something for him. What do you need to find for him? Not something illegal or dangerous, I hope, Anita presses. It's probably better if you don't know, he tells her. I don't like the sound of that, Alibi. It's nothing illegal or anything like that, Aunt Anita, I promise. Who is this guy? She asks. It's probably better if you don't... Alibi, she cuts him off. Don't say it. Who is he? Finder. He calls himself Finder, he relents. Can't really keep anything from her after all. Besides, that's not really a name. This is Wentworth's doing, isn't it? Anita no longer sounds like she is in a pleasant mood. I wish you hadn't gone and gotten him involved. Krish seemed to think it was a good idea, Alibi offers.
He did at first, she says, but then Krish called me after you had gone. He felt guilty, you see. Confessed he'd put you in touch with Wentworth. She pauses. I don't like that old man, Alibi. I thought you folks were all in the war together back when, Alibi asks, confused. Well, yes, but... She stops, thinking back to the war against the Eldred, remembering. He did help back then, and he will sometimes. But, well, if he's willing to help... She tries to explain her misgivings. I guess it's just, he never does anything unless there's some sort of return in it for him. I don't like that. Really don't trust him when I can't see what his return is, what he's angling for. Wentworth doesn't want the thing I'm going after. I think there's some other thing he's asked Finder to get for him, Alibi guesses. Finder kind of trades in finding things, and Finder says there was some reason I was the only one who could find the specific thing he wants me to find for him. So, Wentworth found you for Finder then. Already, Anita points out. Now my head is starting to hurt, Alibi says. Wheels within wheels, Alibi. It's always the way it is with people like Wentworth. And people like you, Aunt Anita. Right. He's already got you doing things for him, Alibi. Don't you see? That's how it works. He'll get you what you want, what you need, but, and there's always a but with these people, first you've got to help me do this. She pauses to let the thought sink in. So, are you going to tell me what hoop he's already trained you to jump through? I hate it when she's right. I'm looking for something called the Travel Chair of Inokata, he says. It's an artifact. Used to belong to the ancient enemy. If I find it for Finder, he'll give me the Sunrise of Hur. Maybe the SAIF should find Finder and have him give us the Sunrise of Hur, she muses. Guess this is why Finder doesn't like to be found. Somehow I don't think he'd be that easy to track down, Alibi says. I have to go through Wentworth to get back in touch with him, once I've found the chair. What's next then, Alibi? His aunt asks. Anything I can help with? I'm going to have some breakfast. I'm starving. Alibi? Anita sounds less than amused over the comm. Sorry, he shrugs. Thank you, Aunt Anita, Alibi says. Think I'm all set. I'll get my cruiser out and... A flash of inspiration hits Alibi. Hey, Aunt Anita, have you ever heard of the planet Metcalf? Metcalf? I've heard that name, but... No, doesn't really ring a bell. Why? That's where legends say the travel chair is supposed to be. It's one of the old Eldred worlds. Got its modern name from the Metcalf family who tried to settle it. They all lost their minds or something. Oh, Anita says. There's silence on the comm. Aunt Anita? I'd forgotten, she says, until you said the Metcalf family. I'd forgotten about those poor people. Oh, so you do know about them? It's coming back to me. I was the prime rep at the time they went exploring. Then you know where it is? Finder said it could be any one of about 100 old Eldred worlds. Oh, yes, she says, but Alibi, you can't go there. Why not? The reports are all true, Alibi, she says. That poor family. They were all close to brain dead when they were finally found. The SA posted their planet as unsafe and dangerous. When was that? Alibi asks. When did all this happen? I don't remember it. That's because you were about 5 or 6 years old, Anita says. It was 2115, I think. We called them the Metcalf family, but they weren't all related, just most of them. It was a family operation, right after the war, as groups of people began heading out to found and set up new colonies. They were part of that first wave. Alibi hears his aunt laugh a little on the other end of the comm. We were all so hopeful back then. We knew the Eldred worlds were off limits, but there seemed to be so many other worlds out there. Metcalf appeared to be a habitable planet with no higher life forms. I remember it was a surprising find at the time in that part of space. Funny how much comes back as you start to think about it. What else do you remember? Alibi asks her, hoping for more. Everything seemed fine at first, she says. Reports from their world were no different than any other new colonies. If anything, they were better. We received a report that they were going to examine some old alien machinery that appeared to have crashed in the distant past. It was the last we heard from them, Well, the last sane thing we heard from them. Was it the laughing array? Alibi asks, remembering what Finder said. What? Anita sounds confused. Laughing? Well, there might have been a reference to something like that. Does sort of ring a bell, but this was no laughing matter, Alibi. When the next supply ship arrived there, the planet had become like something out of a nightmare. The entire population of the colony had gone insane. They had all turned on each other. She sounds distant, as if remembering news reports. After seeing such degradation and cannibalism, the supply ship didn't land. They took off and left the poor, crazy colonists on the planet, reporting back to the nearest safe facility on their grisly findings. So that's the Mad Planet Metcalf, huh? Alibi tries to joke. But that was a long time ago, right? Could be fine now. There's no reason to believe it's any safer now, Alibi, she says in a solemn tone.
I've got a reason, but damn, promised Wentworth I wouldn't mention planets are detoxifying.
But you know where it is? He keeps trying. God help me, she says. She sighs. I do, Allie. But no one has been back there for 20 years. You have no idea. If it looks bad, I won't land. Alibi, she says in a stern voice, as if he was still 4 years old. Aunt Anita, he replies, matching her tone. There's silence on the comm.
Come on.
If I can find Metcalf, I can find that travel chair, Alibi says. That chair will get me the Dakhur's treasure. They get their Sunrise of Hur back, and relations between the Solar Alliance and the Dakhur stop being so strained. Maybe I can even get Kit to talk to me again. There's still no answer. Alibi can hear his aunt breathing, but she isn't giving in. I've at least got to try, Aunt Anita. There's too much at stake not to, isn't there? Alibi hears her sigh.
She's going to tell me.
The Metcalfs left from depot, Anita says, finally breaking the silence. I don't have the coordinates of the world they went to, obviously. After that supply ship returned with their tales of horrors, my cabinet and I decided it would be best to lose the location of the world. You erased it from the charts? Alibi asks. That doesn't work, his aunt says. She laughs. It would have been impossible to hide the location. So we did the opposite. We labeled about 100 other planets, Metcalf, to hide it in plain sight. Clever. And you added to the legends. Did you know that? I suppose so, she admits. Alibi, I wish you wouldn't go there. You put me on this path, Aunt Anita. I'm just going in the direction you told me to go, Alibi pushes back. Come on, tell me, is there still a record of the location of the original Metcalf? She remains silent. Aunt Anita, Alibi says, trying to elicit a response. I can hear you breathing. There are some hard copies, she finally says. Older star charts, hard copies, on depot. Confidential records held at the SA garrison there. She doesn't say it out loud, but Alibi can hear the I can't believe I'm doing this in his aunt's tone of voice. I'll have the charts released to you. Really? Thank you, Aunt Anita. Alibi can't believe it. You need to be very careful, she warns him. Don't land on Metcalf unless you are absolutely sure it's safe. I won't, he reassures her. I'll call you back with instructions for retrieving the charts after I have arranged for their release with the garrison on depot. Be very careful, Alibi. Anita out. She signs off. Alibi doesn't waste any time packing. His aunt can reach him on board the cruiser as easily as at home. He leaves his apartment and makes his way down to the safe landing bays and ship's berths at the Cat's Eye main port.
That was Chapter 7 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur on Glow in the Dark Radio. Well, Alibi's Aunt Anita is definitely not, say, endorsing his current plans, but she's not stopping him either. Not yet, anyway. And she may be helping if he can get those old star charts from Depot, if that all works out. We'll find out how that visit to Depot goes in our next chapter, Chapter 8 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur, part of our Chronological Omnibus, on our next episode of Glow in the Dark Radio. And just a reminder, quickly on book news, you can get the novel Alibi Jones and the 15th anniversary edition of Vatican Assassin, that novel, free as ebooks pretty much everywhere. Just go to books2read.com/Alibi Jones or /Vatican Assassin, and you'll find a link, or you'll find links to every store that carries the ebook. And all except for Amazon should have the books for free. Amazon does not play nice if you're not exclusive, but every other place that's carrying those books should have those ebooks for free. And again, a big thank you to patrons who help keep the podcast going. I'd love to have you as a patron. If you're interested, head to patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio. That is all for this week. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. Thank you again for listening to Glow in the Dark Radio.
Glow in the Dark Radio.
This podcast presentation is copyright 2025 by Michael F. Luoma and is protected under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License, CC by NCND 4.0. Music by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his work at incompetech.com. Mike's books are available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook, wherever you find books online. Get links and more details at glowinthedarkradio.com and mikeluoma.com. This has been a presentation of Glow in the Dark Radio.